Today, I'll explore the power of stakeholder dialogue and networks and how they shape business outcomes. Meaningful conversation is more than an exchange of information. It helps organizations understand expectations, build trust, and identify opportunities for collaboration. Strategic relationships extend that value by connecting people, knowledge, and resources across the business environment. The central idea is that dialogue and network should be treated as core organizational capabilities, not occasional activities. Together, they help successful organizations respond more effectively and create stronger, more sustainable results. A stakeholder is anyone who affects or is affected by a company's decisions and actions. That definition is intentionally broad because business decisions rarely impact only the people inside the organization. Internal stakeholders include employees, managers, owners, and board members who help guide operations and performance. External stakeholders include customers, suppliers, investors, communities, and regulators. Understanding these groups helps a company recognize different interests, anticipate potential impacts, and make decisions that are more responsible and effective. Dialogue matters because it turns stakeholder engagement from a one-way update into a meaningful exchange. The value is not just in informing people, but in listening closely to what they know and experience. That conversation can reveal risks leadership may not yet see, build legitimacy by demonstrating respect, and reduce conflict before it grows. It also creates space for innovation, because people outside the internal team often bring perspectives and ideas that would otherwise be missed. In short, genuine dialogue strengthens both decision-making and trust. The stakeholder engagement spectrum describes a progression in how organizations relate to the people affected by their work. At the most basic level, we inform stakeholders by sharing updates. Then we consult, actively seeking their feedback. Involvement means working directly with them, while collaboration goes further by creating shared ownership of decisions and plans. The key idea is that moving toward genuine empowerment builds more than communication. It creates deeper trust, stronger loyalty, and more resilient relationships over time. The Power Interest Matrix helps me map stakeholders according to the level of attention and engagement they need. The goal is to match communication effort with stakeholder influence and interest rather than treating every audience the same. Those we manage closely need regular, high-touch dialogue. Those we keep satisfied need proactive attention to their concerns. Stakeholders we keep informed benefit from transparent updates and outreach. And those we monitor require lighter touch, periodic check-ins. This approach helps prioritize resources while keeping communication purposeful and appropriately tailored. A stakeholder network is far more than a list of contacts. It's a dynamic ecosystem that creates value over time. Strong relationships build resilience, providing early signals about emerging risks and support when disruptions occur. They also expand access to resources, including capital, talent, knowledge, and new markets that may be out of reach for an isolated organization. Finally, networks strengthen reputation. When stakeholders feel heard and respected, they're more likely to become advocates, amplifying a brand through credible, organic endorsement. Johnson & Johnson's Tylenol crisis is a powerful example of stakeholder dialogue under intense pressure. In 1982, product tampering threatened not only consumer safety, but the company's entire brand. Rather than minimizing the situation, J&J communicated directly with consumers, retailers, regulators, and the media, combining transparency with decisive action. The most important lesson is that stakeholder trust came before short-term profits. That approach helped the company recover market share within a year and established a global benchmark for crisis communication. Effective stakeholder dialogue is a disciplined process, not a one-time communication exercise. First, identify and segment stakeholders by their influence, interest, and connection to your strategic goals. Then, listen before speaking, using surveys, town halls, focus groups, or advisory boards to understand concerns from their perspective. Communicate consistently through regular touchpoints, rather than appearing only during a crisis. Finally, close the loop Share what you heard and explain what action was taken. That follow-through shows stakeholders their input matters, and that dialogue can lead to meaningful impact. This slide highlights how stakeholder relationships can become a lasting source of competitive advantage. A strong network is a moat because it is built through consistent investment over time, and competitors cannot simply purchase that trust overnight. These connections can provide preferred access to suppliers and partners, support faster regulatory approvals and stronger community buy-in, and help organizations attract and retain talented employees. They also deepen customer loyalty and increase lifetime value. In other words, stakeholder networks strengthen the organization from multiple directions at once, making performance more resilient and difficult to replicate. There are 3 common mistakes I want to call out. First, communication is not the same as broadcasting. Sending information without listening or responding does not create genuine dialogue. Second, engaging only when crisis occurs leaves relationships underdeveloped. Consistent, proactive contact builds trust before that trust is needed. Finally, we should not overlook stakeholders simply because they currently have limited power. Their influence can grow quickly through social media, coalitions, or regulatory channels. Monitor the broader stakeholder landscape, not just the most visible voices. The key takeaway is that stakeholders are partners in value creation, not obstacles to manage. Dialogue surfaces risk and sparks innovation, while trusted networks create lasting advantage. Finally, prioritize engagement intentionally, using tools like the Power Interest Matrix to focus resources where they matter most.